Welcome, everyone, to Spiritual Gangsters from the Future Healing Meeting with Master Jonathan Mozenter and Master
Christopher Kent. Yeah, excited to be here with you. So we have an exciting program. So as some people come in, we're going to be offering some free healings, but to kind of wet your the container, the field, we're going to start with an energy bundle, and then we'll just kind of flow from that.
I'm getting salvation that creates salvation.
Salvation. So I getting into, how about these words, like curiosity, like this, like the and like some sort of phrase for tikkun olam, like repair the world, isn't tikkun olam, but yeah, like heaven on earth, Shambhala. Like curiosity about what it's going to take. I feel like that's one thing that our spiritual missions are aligned on, and what's it going to take? Because we're up here in Chiripo, and what I love about up here is it's easier to find soul brothers like Christopher who've already left the matrix and know that we have to build the new earth ourselves, and then like pioneers. I feel like Christopher Columbus is up here, and we're building something new and cool. And then so all those people who say like, "Hey, it's never been done before," it's like, no, we're doing it right now. We already got codes. And then when the rest of the world is ready for that operating system upgrade, they don't have to stumble. We've learned a lot of the lessons, and then it's just about scaling. I don't know. Does that resonate with you?
What resonates most, and that's coming to me, is two things. Because you said wedding, and that's why I shared salvation, salivating for salvation.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting now is wetting the palate with curiosity for enlightenment and what is required for such. And the last piece is, yes, Christopher Columbus, but Christopher Columbus without all of the bullshit that came from, what I understand, the suffering that came from that. This is a new endeavor where there is no suffering and liberation for all beings in the creation of this.
Yeah. No, that's a whole rabbit hole for maybe another show. But why there's like this judgment on the past is like it lacks compassion. It's just ironic because that movement sees itself as super compassionate, but then it gets very authoritarian. But that's a whole thing. That's a whole podcast. So let's stick with the energy. So we already agreed on some sort of this curiosity, right? And maybe the target is heaven on earth. I'm getting we talked about pregame about intuition or Gnosis, and our podcast about coming from the future. And what if we this is one of my personal theories, and I know you're really into coming from the future, but we haven't really discussed it. But I think one of the techniques I talk about is connecting to the future as a tool, a technique, but actually a critically important point. In Tibetan Buddhism, which Christopher and I both studied in, they call this thing like no reference points. Right? You heard that term? So something one of my energy teachers, Donnie Epstein, said, kind of placed this idea in my mind of like, he said like some people are from the future. And then I did some spiritual techniques, and he's like, Donnie, you're from the future in a big way. And after I figured that out, my life got better. And but anyways, and then some part of me said, like, what if we, instead of doing no reference points, what if the mind's kind of like a computer, and we get everybody to reference like the quantum field that's always right here of every permutation combination, and imagine we know for sure at least one of those combinations, everyone crushed it at once, and we just tether to that, like, hey, when you're Gnosis, intuition, when you're figuring out, doing your formulas for what to do now, make sure everyone's happy at once. And that includes me. So it's not like a martyrdom thing. It's like we all win at once. So anyways, what do you think about putting in something from the future or Gnosis into our energy bundle?
Yeah, I would like to add to the energy bundle by inviting all beings here on the recording, which is your past, which is our present. So in some sense, we are speaking from the future because you will be watching this as a recording. So
And
all that.
and we're all getting in the now too, which is hilarious.
That's actually the main point that I'm inviting everyone to strap on your spiritual seatbelts.
Yeah.
As we enter into a space where past, present, and future collapse into the one and only reality, which is the present, the now moment, the ultimate present, and also strapping on a good dosage, a heroic dosage with a jetpack full of gnosis, full of knowing I am, knowing the suchness, the thatness of reality, as well as agnostic, which is the mystery, the unknowing. Although all I know is that I am, also, this is all a total and complete mystery, the nature of what any of this is. So, time, space, past, present, future, meeting in the here and now, as well as the knowing and the unknowing, colliding into this moment.
Wow. All right, let's do the energy bond. I'm gonna bring. Can I bring those? I'll bring those energies into it. I'll just intuit it. So let's start out. Everyone, put their hands up and out, and open their wide up, and find that quantum part where you crushed it, but all the other souls crushed it at the same time. And because you know you're at some level, we're all that. You open your heart, and you're good to yourself and good to everyone at the same time. And just those codes just kind of shoot into your third eye, and you have them, and they're part of your intuition. And you just know it for sure. Like, just relax into it. So then we're going to put our hands down a little bit. We don't want to get them super tired. And when the left hand represents coming from the future, activating our gnosis, our intuition, our soul intelligence, whatever people want to call it, the higher self. And then over here, we're going to start with curiosity, the lubrication, the wetting of the appetite that Christopher was talking about the big question of the day, which is, what is it going to take, not only collectively in the big picture, but maybe more importantly, like right now, like what if you could know right now what you could do and say to move that forward? And that's for everybody who wants it. So just give yourself that power, because you just got those codes already from the future, and we're just making it more explicit and really empowering you to trust your intuition. So let's go back and forth between coming from the future, the soul intelligence, and then this curiosity, this wedding of the field, the loop, back and forth, back and forth. Just a little combining ritual, back and forth. Start to bring your hands closer and closer together. 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh.
Oh, that worked.
Yeah, snapped. That snapped. And we're just gonna do 2 more. I'm gonna bring in stuff that Christopher was talking about into the energy bottle. Put all energy your left hand, and I think this. Let's bring in this intention. Now that we got the curiosity, we're telling our curiosity about, like, how can we not only create a new world where everyone's winning at once, but really, 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 really enjoy the process of doing it. There's too many people, in my opinion, that are waiting for like a certain outcome before they're happy. They're doing circumstances, and what I've learned is state first. So let's bring in that joy now. I'm going to enjoy every second of life. I don't even know how any of this is possible. Speaking of agnostic, not knowing, it's like I surrender.
Amen.
It's all a miracle to me. I'm playing with house money, you know, when you realize that. So let's bring in this curiosity about how we can end suffering, like Christopher said in the beginning. We're ending suffering, and let's have a good time. I think happy people bring happy people up, not suffering people somehow, keep up level suffering people. So let's give it to us right now. We're happy people. We're happy up. I love it up here in Treepo. And so let's bring in the happiness, and also that happiness. Just now, let's just get a vision of everybody getting the happiness. Everyone's their own version of bliss, as long as you're not doing like super violence of stealing, whatever, mass crimes against humanity. A lot of freedom. Like, choose your own adventure. All right, so just get that vision, and now we're gonna bring it in from the codes from the future, and we're gonna bring in that soul intelligence, that knowing with curiosity, back and forth, to bring hands closer and closer together. 3, 2, 1. And I'm getting that feels good enough. We're just gonna finish with the last part with like this. Put your hands like, oh, what were we gonna do?
Can you bring your hands back together again for one moment? So
yeah.
let us plant this now with the heart seed.
Yes.
And let it flower. And this is something that I learned from our mutual teacher, Jonathan. So as this prayer is here with these energy bundles, gently open up the fingertips.
Oh yeah.
Keeping the wrists together and allowing this heart seed to plant deep in the center of being, in the center of the earth, in the center of our hearts. And gradually bring your hands. Open up and flower, watering this reality.
I'm imagining we're finding a circle with everyone who's watching it, and we're going super non-dual. So I'm imagining anyone who ever listens to this, we're getting their curiosity right now. And it's our non-dual, because there's no time, so we're grabbing it right now. I don't know. I got like 4 big insights. I don't even know what they are. I can't wait to anything.
I can't wait either.
So it is.
And so it is.
Yeah.
Algae.
All right. Are we gonna warm up the field a little bit more?
I'm here for it, brother.
All right. I feel like you were crushing it pre-meeting, and you were saying this could be a polarity, but this knowing, the gnosis, like what is, a lot of people don't even know what that means. We try to define it. And agnosticism, and even like we haven't shared our own definition.
Right. But so, I felt you vibing with what I was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So maybe that's a good topic, a theme. Yeah. How do you want to do this? I'm going to go first. You want to go first? Why don't we pick one term? We each give our take on it.
I like that. I'll go over. I'll give both of my definitions, and you give both your definitions.
Sounds perfect. Go.
So, gnosis. To me, I ascribe to what the Greek and Latin root of this means, which is to know by experience. So when I say I know this, I'm saying not solely intellectually, but I know this via my direct experience. And all I know is emness or suchness, or that I say sometimes that I am is too much, because it seems to place this center of I, which is fundamentally true for me, but I think it could be confusing linguistically for others, thinking that I'm speaking of this personal mind body. When I say there's a suchness or thatness and that's all I know, it's just whatever all of this is. There's a field of sensations, thoughts, and emotions, and I experience no evidence for separation, extending out into all of existence. That's all I know. That's all I've ever known. And so that's gnosis. I think it's pretty clear.
Okay.
Right. So agnostic. I am a Gnostic, and I am also an agnostic. And I'm agnostic in the sense that the nature of what all of the suchness is, or the thatness that I know not exactly what it is. It's all an unfolding, an ever unfolding mystery to me. And I know that I'm part of it and I'm all of it. And it's just the nature of consciousness, the nature of anything here, which is all consciousness as far as I know. It's not known to me. And science backs this up, but I don't need to get into how science backs up this model in this moment.
Yeah. Okay. Great definitions. What I love about words is they have a lot of meanings, and I think some of my meanings are similar and maybe slightly different. So we're going to be a little bit of an improv. So I'm going to go with gnosis. Now I want to talk about like what I like, this knowing, this like just like chilling out and being like, what do I actually know? Like, who am I? Like, that's a question I think most people haven't asked, and that's a question that changed my life when I worked with Daniel P. Brown in the Vajrayana Buddhist things. And Daniel's protege at the time was John Churchill, and I ended up John being my coach, and Daniel was my kind of retreat leader. And now you're studying with John, so we have like a reference point of a body of wisdom, because I even studied some Vajrayana. We share teachers. So when I found out that word at first, I thought it meant like magical knowing, like knowing without thinking. And as I delved into it through a direct experience, which is where I love what you're saying, it's about direct experience. So now there was like what somebody stated, and then how my mind first interpreted it, And now I've been playing with it since like July of 2011. So a long time. So like 14 years. So I have a lot of direct experiences. So what I'm saying now is my own, not a book definition, but Jonathan's, whatever, 14 years of playing with this indirectly. And so what I've noticed is exactly what you're saying, brother. Like there's this primordial, just some part of you knows. Like it knows that it exists. It knows that it's seeing and doing things, and that's an aspect of it. And I also believe that, to me, as it's unfolded, my knowing has gotten more subtle. Is what I've done is both what I, in retrospect, subtle, great question. Subtle means I can refine it with more and more details. And this is not something that anybody told me would happen to me. It's what happened through my vehicle. So I'm not saying it's going to happen with everyone else's, but as I unfolded and I got more gnosis of Jonathan, this node of reality, and what's being expressed through me is, which is part of the whole. Like we're obviously 100% aligned on this kind of heaven on earth thing. But what I've come to discover is that each soul, each node, has like some similarities. Like we got a crazy amount in common, but then there's like each of us has some special powers, right? And so the subtle, I want to get to your great question. What I've been guided to is in order to say guided to, I actually have to come back to what I was talking about, because this magical knowing, what happened after I started meditating is sometimes there'd be like all my local stuff, but then all of a sudden, like an idea or thought would come seemingly from nowhere, like a non-local, like some part of my consciousness would be like, hey, Jonathan, that guy's got some really important information. Go talk to him. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is. It's like, I don't care. Is it a big deal for you to go over and talk to that guy? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I know how to introduce myself.
And irrational.
Right. Almost. Yeah.
Right. It's like, I don't understand this, but this is what's coming through.
Exactly. Yeah. And my teacher, Daniel P. Brown and John Churchill, both said that was part of the package of these pith instructions. So when that started happening, I got started guided to other teachers who are teaching me energy practice. And I think psychedelics are energy teachers. So I have like a chi teacher, an epi-energetics teacher. And this is, I think, we're a lot alike, because we both have used these energy practices, but also subtle is like parts work, like the subtle mind. So that's what I mean. Is like my knowing as I dialed in to like a specific area, it's almost like I developed like a microscope. It's like, okay, sounds like during my 40s, I took that class when I was 40, and I'll be 54 in a few weeks. So I like, in that entire period after I started meditating, it's almost like, and I've never done this before, which is I love about these energy practices, it brings out a lot of creativity and novelty. Like some part of my lens went, okay, you're going to get really nerdy and microscope about what's going on in your own mind, because that's what wanted to be expressed through me. Did I know that I was getting myself into that? No, but I obviously enjoyed it because I kept going to it, which makes sense. My dad's like a therapist, so I was always into psychology. So there's a reason why I'm bringing this up with the definition, because I want to come back to the definition. So what Christopher says is perfect. I think that's a basic, great place to start with notes. What you said, I think it was the stuff I said is also true, but maybe a little more esoteric, like more, and people can have both. The more,
maybe a little more subtle,
yeah, more subtle, exactly, more subtle. You have to, like, in order to get the more subtle that both of us I have, because I know he's a gangster with the subtle, because he's a parts work master, and parts work mastery is subtle. And so and we vibe on that level. And so but you actually have to take some energy from other places. Like I used to be super anxious and denial of it. So like I had a defense pattern that was hiding it, and then I was super anxious, and all I did was take energy from parts of me that were really not useful anymore, that I picked up as a child, and I transferred that energy into a specific area so I could become a specialist. And
you reassign their roles to be functional,
right,
versus just in the trauma pattern of however they were born.
Exactly. Well, no, that's perfectly said. And I would say they were functional when they first were created, but then now they don't.
Exactly.
And so that's, I think, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's part of what you and I both help other people with,
100%.
is with that transformation of taking energy that's allocated not in a way that's not useful anymore. And you'll know it. That's where the pain and suffering is. Like somebody's like, I'm always doing this, but I don't really want to. And then, that's when the new technologies, I feel like my gnosis, and tell me what this is, something's being incubated up here in Chiripo in this domain, because I feel like it's not just you and I who are like this. There's probably at least another 10 or so people we're good friends with that we get along with that are also have this kind of capacity, but maybe from slightly different perspectives. Like, your partner's an expert at a certain archetype that's really powerful, and that's another way of shining the light of awareness on something specific. All right, so I just said a lot about Gnosis. Do you want me to go into agnostic, or do you want to comment on Gnosis?
Just one comment actually on the tail part of what you just finished sharing about energy and parts, and the way I relate to everything that I'm doing. One way that I relate to it, but I think it is the way, is all of this is an energy containment and an energy directional system of having energy. I came into this world in this body with energy. I mean, of course, being directed perfectly to allow me to arrive here in this mind and body. However, there were parts of me that were traumatized that I needed to then redirect that energy to place that energy in the right energy channel. So I feel like that's what I do, and my heart tells me that's exactly what you do as well, is allocating energy to move in the right place for the freedom and greatest good of all beings.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I do. I call it like human flourishing by aligning with nature's patterns. And so exactly what you said. If I had to, I usually describe what I do in 3 prongs, but I'll break it into 2 to align with what you're saying. I basically discover patterns that bring, with my unique background and unique background, we both studied different disciplines but are related. Like I studied organizational development and different tools of transformation, like change management, the process of transformation. And when you learn to raise and get the right flavor of energy with the right part, then there's like a compounding and amplification. Things go better. It's about alignment. It's basically an organizational development. It's all about alignment. So we're helping align the different parts. Like you can, like if you know what your dreams are, first off, if you don't know what your dream is, no big deal. We can help you figure it out. A lot of the people who come see me, not really sure what their purpose is. And, this is a great time to ask that question because things are going to change really fast. And there's a lot of new technologies coming together. So people who don't have a career, you're kind of in a good place because a lot of the old stuff's going to go away. And you'd rather be a person who's going to grab the new stuff because that's the new trend. And you don't want to be grabbing something right now that's probably going to go away in the next few years. That's an important point that I never actually said, but do you feel it too? Like there's a big shift, a lot of new technologies and multiple domains are coming together to create a new reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I came up here, is because I wanted to hang out with people like Christopher who were seeing that and just wanted to be it. Like I love all my friends back home, but some of them were just wanted to talk about like the politics or the current like vortexes of energy. And I'm like, I'd rather just build something new that's going to make that obsolete rather than, pick a side or try to tweak something I think is dying. And so I feel like more at home here, and I feel excited about being with other people who see that same vision. And Christopher and I are just trying to attract other people because I think the more people who are using best practices in every dimension and synchronicity are going to people who are going to be the most efficient, effective, productive, happiest in every dimension. That's my theory. So I'll quickly switch over to Gnosticism. Agnosticism has always meant to me. But
what, can I share one more comment?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, before I get in agnosticism.
So I just and this is I'll be mindful because this can totally be a whole other portal segue
Sure.
as well. And I'm cool with it being that, and I also want to hear your definition of the agnosticism.
Yeah.
Maybe we could
I
return
think,
to this.
yeah, I think I'll be like short.
Okay. So it's on the note of how I relate and understand to your friends that you talked about that are interested in what they're interested in.
Yeah.
So I ascribe to the experience. This is my experience. It's not a theory. It might sound like a theory that if one being is free, then all beings are free. And at the same time, if one being is in bondage, then all beings are in bondage because we're all one. And so my freedom is your freedom. My freedom is your freedom. The freedom of all true and real beings is it's a shared reality. So for me, when I hear about your friends, or I think of some of my friends that maybe I don't spend as much time with, or other colleagues or people that I've worked with in the past, or even people apparently uh, that I see on the news where there's chaos and suffering happening, all of these beings, that's me. And so if I'm recognizing and perceiving suffering in the world, I'm only recognizing where I am not yet free, and that gives me the work to come into a deeper alignment with seeing the risen Christ and Buddha and all of those beings. So the prayer that I have is those friends of yours and all of my friends and family members and all true real beings everywhere in this dimension and in all dimensions, that every degree that I wake up and become enlightened, that they wake up and become enlightened, and that they're playing their perfect role, and they're actually serving the function so generously of helping me wake up through seeing where I'm not free in them and seeing where I am free in them. So to me, this is all holographic, and the degree to which you and I are liberated right now, those friends and everyone are liberated at the same level of us. However, that doesn't mean that we hang out and spend time at NATO or the World Peace, or we're in the specific flavor that is most nourishing to the whole as we are now, as they are now, which is the hard pill to swallow for some people. That's all I want.
Yeah, no, I think I thought that was so brilliant because you're hitting on one of the most important things, which is this. First off, like Christopher said, whatever you're choosing, it's your I respect it fully. It's your choice, and I have compassion. But I think there's this thing, like if you think about as kids, as we grow up, or even baby, like you pop out of your mom's womb and you didn't get a playbook. At least I didn't.
I don't remember.
I don't remember a playbook. There was a manual. I don't know. Maybe it's in the DNA, but it didn't. It didn't. I didn't know how to access it fully, or at least maybe. Anyways, long story short, I looked around and saw what my mom and dad were doing and what the other people were doing. And I'm like, oh, maybe they'll help me figure out, how to manage this for whatever reality I dropped into, this place we call Earth. And so I think that's useful to a point, but I think at some point of development, we can allow, like, now I'm like kind of in this place, like, like, are they killing somebody, or like, what are they doing, like, that I have to be so concerned about everybody else? Like,
We're not talking about your parents there, right? You said, are they killing
somebody? Well, I'm just talking about now adult Jonathan, as I feel like some of my humans, I'm just saying this as an option. A lot of people's suffering comes from they have like a doubt program, a part that's doubt. Probably everybody has this, but at different strengths. And some people's doubt guy actually turns into an overcompensation. That's a whole other story. But but my point is, like, there's some human condition out there that's causing a lot, not everybody suffering, but some people suffering because they're looking at other people out the window, their neighbors on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, TikTok, and they're like, how come they have something I don't? And then they like make themselves wrong, and then it validates some insecure doubt part, and then they get into a suffering loop, and then they spit out anger, and they don't even know they're doing it, and they don't know that you can actually get out of it. Yeah. Because I think a healthy thing is, like, as a responsible adult, I want to let my fellow God friends, which is what I call everybody, my fellow humans, be free unless they're doing some like whatever the standard is for like, there's obviously as a concerned citizen, there's some things that I would find intolerable, but I try and be as open-minded as possible about that and as compassionate. Because I think that's actually one of the ways out we put in the bundle, like how are we going to piece of what agreements do we need to make as a species, so that we can live in peace. And that feeds right into agnosticism.
Nice segue, bro.
Yeah, because I love how you talked about connected that word, which I was thinking it more like in a theist, which is like you believe in God, and then an atheist who doesn't believe in any God, and agnostic is kind of like, I don't know, maybe. Like, I don't know. It's like some part of me is like, someone says like, all right, John, do you believe in God? I'm like, I don't know how anything exists, so I don't know. Well, I'm not jumping in any camp. I'm gonna be in like, I'm the humble. My mind can't get beyond the chicken and the egg problem. So I just accept that this is a magical existence, is magical default, because that's the best my mind. Otherwise, some part of me is like looping in craziness. I'm like, I'm here. I might as well like find meaning and joy.
Maybe this is God. Maybe all of this is God.
That's what I think. Yeah. And so yeah, let me just finish and then I want to hit back to you, the agnostic thing. So yeah, so agnostic, I think making this balance, because you said it so eloquently in a way I'd never heard it before, is like also the humility of not knowing. Yeah. And how can you play that symphony of like both, like, cause like that kind of you want it, like you get excited, you get an insight, you notice a pattern or something or an experience, and you want to share it, because you want to tell your fellow God friends, both maybe for them or for you to integrate it, anyways. And then but you don't want to like there's a healthy balance of like how do you express it in a way that allows it to be your experience and beautiful without like superimposing something that sometimes the way people said it settles, it triggers people into like, oh, he's telling me how life is, and
Which
who are
is the
you?
opposite of the goal that we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we like? I think there's this happiness between it. How do we know things? So yeah, the one of the most important thing about Gnosis, and I want to hear your feedback on this actually, that I think is like this contextual knowing. Like I might know something like from beyond, like to talk to that dude, like or whatever. That but I never make just because like I got a lightning bolt, like I had a psychedelic experience that the universe wants to organize around happy beings. Does that mean I'm like, a messenger and that's the truth? Fuck no. I mean, the only thing that makes someone a messenger is if a lot of people agree on it. Like that's just what's in my heart. So when I get a deep knowing, I own it as just, hey, this is my thing, and maybe my fellow human/God friends, consciousness beings will like it or not, but I'll let them decide. And that way I own my experience and I can share it. But then I'm not like such a like, hey, look at me, I got the, God talked directly to me. Yeah.
Evangelist.
Yeah. So I think the next level being is where the God friends, we more collaborate. Ben, what is your take on that?
Dude, that is so rich. And I'm so grateful that you're asking. To me, it has everything to do with how I know I can be friends with someone. How do you know when you were a kid that you could be friends with someone? To me, it was a very simple formula, which is I am able and I desire to play with you.
Right.
So this leaves room for the free will and consent, which is like integral and fundamental into a world without suffering. Because to me, a world without suffering is a world where no one else's free will is creating harm or violence, suffering on anyone else. So it's always in the realm of consent. And like, if I want to play with you and you want to play with me, cool, then that's a game. And in the definition of a game is we both want to do it and we're doing it for the sake of itself. The means and the ends are the same. And so this goes into the savior complex and the Christ complex, or as I like to reference Alan Watts, my favorite quote from him, one of them is,
I love Alan Watts.
"Kindly let me help you," the monkey said to the fish as he took him out of the water and put him into the tree. I don't know if he's helping that fish very much. I think that fish wants to be in the water. But that monkey because he's a monkey, right? And monkeys aren't trees. So
Yeah.
I'm going to help this fish. But he might even think that that fish is a monkey, or he just might think that because what he needs is to be in the tree that the fish needs it. And that's not, I have found that experientially, because I used to be a savior and I used to think that everyone needs to know this thing that I know, this Christed consciousness. However, it's a slippery, slippery slope because I have forgotten the fundamental understanding that I saw and continue to see, which is this is all me. And so because it's all me, when I share this, I'm not sharing this because I need to or because I have to or because it's because I can't find anything else more enjoyable to do than remind others that I see the Christ in them and seeing the Christ in the Buddha in all beings, in the beings that are in Gaza right now, on both sides of the equation, in Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And am I enlightened enough that I can experience that being as Christ, as Buddha, as perfect? And if I can't, I know exactly where my work is. And guess what? They don't need to know a damn thing about that. But I'm doing this, I'm sharing this, not because they need to know that, because I want to.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable.
Right.
So that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love I think this savior complex you're talking about, because I think a lot of all I have it within myself and I've seen it in other people, and as I've kind of gotten in touch with that part, I've come to this like balance where I love the guy who wants to help, and then at some point like maybe he took his job too seriously, and as I've matured with it, it's like I'm just a node, and
keeps you humble.
Yeah, it keeps you humble, exactly. And but also like some part of me said like it's also like different nodes in different times. We're in an influencer culture, have different amounts of influence, and I think people who do have something new and novel or innovative that other people might want to hear, and they think it'll benefit them both because they care about the other people, and also we gotta make it when these money times. We have to make a living, and that's a legitimate way, especially in the information age.
We don't have to, but I could comment. We don't have.
We don't have to. There are people who don't. I know people who don't live without money. I don't really. Anyways, I don't want to get into a money conversation right this second. I want to focus on this idea of this. How do we take this desire to help our fellow nodes, and you see them in the suffering, and you're like, I used to suffer exactly like you did, and I found a way out, and so now you want to help them. I think there's nothing wrong with that, that notion of wanting to help. I think it's just my direct experience of it is be light about it. Be like, if you're interested, I might have something for you. If not, who cares? Like, no attachment on who's the right student or if and so you allow them to be perfect and allow you to be perfect. And I do like people who I would prefer. I like to be around people who like to be good to themselves, but also recognize their community members, and that could express itself in a lot of different ways. But if I'm building a community together, it's like to know that everybody's contributing something. That's just my personal desire. But how it expresses itself, I have a lot of openness. But yeah, how have you, I'm getting to ask you a little bit more about how you've integrated your desire to be a great help, and you said you've gone from being too serious to more lighter about it. What's that journey been like for you?
Man, that journey from taking myself too serious to just ultimately wanting to be my authentic self and do what feels natural to me has been like a whole sub personality was created on Facebook because of this. And one of my friends called me out, my good friends who will see this podcast, who's been a guest on this podcast. He said, bro, like you show up as this different person online. And that really, I took that part and I made that my project to not take myself too seriously in making that my project.
Okay.
But because I could see how these two energies are like, I'm like, whoa, it's so subtle and tricky. How a part of me was wanting to correct that, to show up authentically, but then also looking at how much does this have to do with me just giving a fuck about another person's opinion more than I care about my own opinion. But I do care about his opinion. And so it's like this tricky unblending a parts work word of realizing rule number 6. You know what rule number 6 is?
No, I don't know. No,
Ed, I'm gonna share rule number 6 and then bring it back to something I wanted to comment on that you were right before you asked. And I think that they are related, and we'll discover how they're related. Rule number 6, I learned from Wayne Dyer when I read the book The Power of Intention, but it comes from an older parable, and it's the number one rule of my life, because to me, rule number 6 is the number one rule of my life, because some people say that there's a thin line between the sacred and the silly. I like to say there is no line. The sacred is the silly, and the silly is the sacred. However, if I'm coming from an unintegrated place, I could end up sharing some twisted jokes that are not attuned to the environment and that are not really funny. But when the white wizard is integrated, and the white wizard is who comes out in the men's circle, who says, and in other parts of my life, who says the perfect thing, the perfect arrow, and it's true, it's funny, and it's probably that thing that everyone else was thinking, ooh, if I said that, that would be funny, but I'm not gonna say that. It's the integrated jest who can tell the king the truth, and the king will laugh. But if it's not integrated, I may get my head chopped off by the king. So it has to have the perfect balance. And I can't be bullshitting myself, because if I am, it might come off in a twisted way. So
I got something to go off that, but you created.
I'll just finish rule number 6.
Okay. So, I thought you were gonna pass it.
yeah. So rule number 6, my brother. I often remind myself of it, and it comes with a little story.
Let's go for it.
There is a head of state describing affairs of state with 3 other leaders who are visiting, and the head of state is helping these 3 other leaders run their kingdom in an efficient way for the greatest good of all beings. And as they're sitting there, a towns member, a citizen, flies in the door during their meeting, and he's freaking out. And the head minister said, Tom, please remember rule number 6. Instantaneous calm descends upon Tom. And he says, thank you. And he leaves. They go about their very important meeting, and a second person comes in. And again, she's freaking out. And he just says one thing. He says, Rebecca, please remember rule number 6. Once again, instantaneous calm descends upon Rebecca. She thanks him and walks out of the room. They're at the tail end of their meeting, and a third citizen bursts in the door, freaking out, far greater than the previous 2, with a very serious matter. And the head of state just says, Bill, please remember rule number 6. What do you think happened? Of course, instantaneous peace and calm trickle over Bill's being. He bows and thanks him, walks out. The visiting prime ministers, heads of state, say, one of them says, I've seen many amazing things in my life, but never have I seen something as miraculous as what just happened. Will you please tell us rule number 6, for I believe that is the solution in our kingdoms as well. The head of state said, of course. Rule number 6 is don't take yourself so goddamn seriously. And they said, well, we have to know, what are the other rules? And he leaned back in his chair and said, there are none.
Nice.
Bravo. Thank you, bro.
I love that. I'm getting to talk about, like, you brought this part in this what was it, the white wizard, or what was his name?
The white wizard.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of the things that I find exciting about the human psyche and the parts work, there's like, first off, just getting familiar with your own family of parts, but then you can discover other parts maybe you didn't know were there that are like want to like creative parts, you know. And so like that white wizard sounded like a part, you know, who wants to express like, you know, a little yeah, like I know as I like took energy out of parts of me that were trying to manage stuff that my childhood couldn't digest, I can now put them on offense. And I actually think that skill, and I want to hear your opinion on this, of retaking energy. This is kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation, from in the human mind of all these defensive parts, whatever they're doing, protector parts, and now they're no longer useful. Imagine all of a sudden we got peace on Earth, and we've all learned skillful means communication, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden the defensive parts are needed. We can transfer all that energy into new parts that manifest playful creativity, fun, like for all of eternity. And imagine just changing all that energy and putting it in that direction. I don't know about you, but as I'm saying it, my eyes are like popping out of my head. It's like I'm definitely on that team. I don't know if we're inventing it right now, if other people are doing it, but this is definitely something I'm already doing with myself and my clients, and it's fun and it's really effective. And what I want to make one thing clear to people who are interested in this, you can't you in order to do this, you have to actually know how to unplug the ones from the old parts so you have the free energy to create the new parts. So you can't if you just try and create the new thing without the new energy, yeah, I think your success is going to be limited because there's a lot of energy hog in our mind with other parts. And so that's one of the things that I do, and I think you do, but I'll let you, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sure.
I'm gonna pass it over to you in a sec, but I'm just saying like as AI comes on board as more and more and quantum, all this other physical sciences, when we have to upgrade in every dimension at once to keep up, but not only keep up, it's not just to keep up, it's to flourish. It's I don't want to make it sound like they're ahead and we're running up the hill to keep up. It's like you want to do this work because this is gonna make your life like a quantum leap better. Like it's so different. Imagine like you like suffering all the time, having ruminating on certain thoughts, and it's just consuming like 90 negative thoughts. What is it? They take up 90%, 95% of everything. And you literally, when you start unplugging these parts, all of a sudden your mind just like loves you to death. It's like it tells you how awesome you are and all you can do everything. Loves you to life. Yeah, loves you to life. Yeah, thanks for that's a better way of saying it. Yeah, like it's just like it's weird at first, because you're so used to a certain way, and then I just want to let people know that that's possible. I've done it with myself, and I've done it with my clients, and I know friends who've done it. And then eventually you take that coddling of the being and you just push it into the body, and you don't even need to do that anymore because you just are happy all the time because you embodied it. And that's a whole process. That's not like that's a multi-year thing, but I just think everybody's who wants it, I want to let them know it's available. And at this point, I think the only thing left for me is like is like how you spread it quicker and more cheaply. And so if there's an investor out there who's watching this, who's excited about someone who's got this ability, or multiple people, or a whole community who's maybe creating a spiritual innovation center, and you want to either be a customer or investor, there's a lot of opportunities. But I want to go back to you because I know you're doing a lot of the same kind of work with parts work. Tell me, because you modeled it with your white wizard. Tell me a little bit about positive parts and how they work with other parts, and both with yourself and your clients. And I think I'd love to hear this.
I'll share with you the evolution of the white wizard. The white wizard was not always present in my life as a part and as a guide, which is another term used in parts work. He was a part and then transitioned into this guide that I am humbled, and it blows my mind that he is here in the way that he is, and he's now my guy instead of an unintegrated part. Anyway, but before I get into
like he's your name for your higher self, or one of them.
Well, there's a council of the higher self. In my understanding, there's a council, and he is one of the council members.
That's cool.
But before I get into it, I do want to share just a piece on money, investors, and the time that it takes to achieve what I do, and I won't put words in your mouth, but you know, if it's also true for you, you can affirm that. Although this is a process that that I've seen take years in myself and in those that I have worked with, I do leave space for the truth and reality that this is instantaneous and this is happening right now, and miracles and anything are possible. So to me, your participation in this creation with Jonathan and I is that work, and the goal of that work is for it to be done when now.
Yeah.
It's already done, and this unhinges me from having to do this for money or needing to survive. I know that this is God's work and it's already done now. And I do this for joy, and I accept donations and I accept investments, and I'm going to do this when money is here and when I live in a world when money is not here, because I've lived in a world where money was not here and I did this.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to share that, yes, there's ways to work with me and Jonathan, retreats, and we are very accepting when that is coming from the place where it is for the upliftment of exactly what we are doing. And yeah, I just wanted to add that piece. In that
I'm getting to talk about where am I with this? I think that's a good place. Deep. Like I'm getting to return to Vajrayana Buddhism and why those skills. When I was talking earlier, remember I said I usually describe things in threes, but I blanked it to two. So I was basically saying, like, if you put energy and energetics into the right patterns, you will unlock human flourishing. Now, why do I add a third one? Because one of the patterns of Vajrayana Buddhism, the patterns of the mind, like you have to have those patterns. Like, or there might be other spiritual traditions that have the same thing or close to it. So I don't want to make it so reified. But if you don't know,
you need access to that.
You need access to how to unblend.
Yeah.
And I know they use that word a lot in parts work, but like into like the ground of being the space, you know, because what happens is that you know, when we come out of the womb and we're like, I don't know what to fucking do here. Some part of you is like worried, how am I gonna, you know, some part of you does have knowing. It's like, I gotta eat. I don't know, for some reason I know I do better when I suck on my mom's boob and get some milk, you know. You know, that's probably a program I had, you know. I wasn't conscious of that thought, but you know, but and so so anyways, so when you like let's say, imagine a baby's like in the crib and the mom's like somewhere else in the house and the baby's like, I'm really fucking hungry right now, and it's like early days, you know, and like at some point it hasn't developed a relationship with the mom to know that magnetic food is there, you know. It might be sending out all the signals first subtly and then crying and stuff. Maybe the mom's not there, but it starts to develop these defense patterns, these protectors. Like some part of it's like, all right, baby, if you keep escalating in these crying, it's not going to be good for your body. You're going to wear yourself out. And so there's like a psychological
womb too.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, strongly agree with that. As soon as you have perception, it's going to start. And so that's a great point. So these defense patterns we develop like right away. They're like, we need them to stay alive, because I think that defense pattern is like saying to the baby, like, hey, if you keep escalating in intensity, you know, you're probably going to die, because you know that you would start sweating a lot, you know, you exhaust a lot of energy all at once, you know. So the body is super intelligent and it knows how to protect us, so it creates these defense patterns, and the baby intuitively knows that it's got to trust this defense pattern, and so its identity like sticks to it like glue, and it doesn't even remember that it did it. And it turns out that's like the most important thing in transformation, because it's an energy hog. It's like your first instinct is to filter everything through these defense patterns. So you really got to know psychic surgery. How do you undo that thing? And that's a process. But here's the good news. Just taking a little bit off gives you more life and more energy, more freedom. And so it's not like an all or nothing thing. The whole thing is just like a stairway to heaven. You start getting better and better. And so, and then the more people, the conscious who do it at once, it goes faster. That's what you were picking up on, is like we're at this place where it's starting to spiral up. The more people focus on this critical thing, because look, humans are the most powerful part. For all we know, everything happens in our consciousness. So if we crush it on the primordial being, our minds, I mean, even if you don't believe that everything, like that consciousness is, primary, everything goes through your mind. Like you cannot have a perception about reality that, where the mind isn't involved. So, at least recognize it's kind of important. It's critical. We use it in every moment. So if we take, in my understanding of the Vajrayana, if they aren't number one, they're up there because they did all kinds of magical things. And I'm gonna let you fill in. But when I start, okay, okay, number one. Like literally, I took this class, and I'm feel very fortunate that I had good karma. That I didn't get it till I was 40, but even just to get it then, the way they looked at things, it almost like in hindsight, it's like obvious, but I would have never thought. That was my original thought. As soon as my teacher started doing these pointing out instructions, it was like, "Hey, John, have you ever thought about like seeing the ultimate reality is all in this lucid field that you're doing is first?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I never thought about that life." And an instantaneous I was like, if I was God, I would definitely do that. It's way easier to make like light coming out of a thing than create all this physical stuff. Like it's a no-brainer. I was like, "Oh, duh." But then it like changed everything. But I just both of us are kind of, Dan Brown worked with literally the Dalai Lama. I don't know if you know the story, but true story. Memory Treason is like a Vajrayana teacher. They have different number ones. I think 33 was the one that my teacher Daniel Brown knew, but I think we're up to 34 because 33 has passed away like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. But Dan was studying with him for like 20, 30 years ago. And that guy, Memory Treason 33, was also the Dalai Lama's a Vajrayana teacher. The Dalai Lama's got all kinds of teachers, of course. And so basically, as people know, China started taking over Tibet, and that's why the Dalai Lama left, and a lot of great teachers left. So people studying Vajrayana Buddhism in Tibet's like on going down. A lot of the teachers just bolted, and so they got the Dharmakaya is kind of their word for like the truth body, the mystical. The practitioners in their Gnosis got this like, hey, we got to seed this somewhere else, like in the West, so it can flourish because we've been incubating these ideas. And the Dharmakaya is saying it's time for them to spread. So basically, the Dalai Lama, they picked Dan as a Western teacher. Like there were lots of people teaching Vajrayana Buddhism in the States, but what's different about Dan is he literally translated right from the original instructions and written books, and they gave him permission. It's like, you don't have to teach it exactly the way you do, but you cannot screw up the essence nature. So Dan was a psychologist. He's working at Harvard. He's written a lot of books. He's a brilliant guy. They said, like, you get it, so translate it into the culture of the West. And so I'm in that lineage. Obviously, John Churchill's in that lineage, and now you're getting teachings for him. So these teachings are critical to rapidly mastering our mind. Now we're going to get other epic teachings. We're not in from other places. Like obviously, like seems like Silicon Valley is really good with AI. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying different parts of the world are incubating different stuff. So no big deal. But I wanted you to give you a chance to kind of weigh in and talk about your journey with Vajrayana.
Yeah, what's coming through as you were speaking is it is directly that, but it's directly that through offering an experience for our listeners, for you, and for me.
Yeah,
if you're open to it.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Great. And just a quick time check. Yeah, everyone, we're going to be out of here in 59 minutes. Last I checked, it was 12:11.
Okay.
And we'll be finishing no later than 1:11 p.m. Okay. So
Mountain Standard Time.
So yeah, we'll go through this. It'll probably be 10, 15-ish minutes, give or take, depending on what parts arise. And then we could like talk about it for a little bit, and then maybe if you feel called to offer something after at that point, or we'll just go with the flow.
Yeah, I'm open. I like experiential stuff. We've been talking a lot, so it's probably good to mix it in now.
Cool.
I think
Yeah,
it's a good instinct.
White Wizard, the council of the members in the council of my higher self presented themselves. The White Wizard, Christ, and King Alves will be delivering this transmission through me. And Jonathan, I invite you, if there is a part that arises and you feel comfortable to work with it, that is invited. And at the same time, I mean, I imagine there will be a part, but if you feel called to keep it internal and allow this to be a space where I'll offer the questions in the way that feels natural without hearing responses, then everyone in the audience could also participate, but they could still do that even if you're sharing out loud too. It would just be a different kind of vibration if we're working directly with one of your parts out loud. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you're asking me questions and I'm responding, but they're also going to do it for themselves.
They're also going to do it for themselves. And if there's a part that, and if you want to keep it all internal, you can. But if you want to voice it, you could do that. It's entirely up to you, since
I'll probably voice it. I actually, one of the techniques I do for myself is make subject object, which means like when I talked about like the blending, the fusing, like how your defense pattern does it. One way I make my parts more observable to other parts is to talk about them out loud.
Yeah.
And then all the other parts, like who are in like my councils, I'm like, oh, I see that part. Oh, I see how we could get a better relationship. So I'd like to model that. Yeah.
Cool. Then we'll be doing exactly that.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
All right. Invitation to assume a comfortable upright position. Getting yourself ready for blast off, whatever that means to you. Eyes closed is preferred and optimal for this. Although you may open your eyes, this is an internal process, which, yes, it is external as well. However, the focus and concentration is best accomplished with eyes closed.
I want to talk about that later.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go for it.
And as we enter into this portal of working with integrated and unintegrated parts, we attune to what is known as self-energy. Self-energy is consciousness. It is that which has witnessed all of the joys, all of the suffering. It has witnessed everything in your life. It has witnessed the creation of all of the parts of you. And it has always and still always remains entirely unaffected by any of these parts. Qualities of self are kind, curious, compassionate, caring, and infinitely patient to witness the unification of one being. Or although we may appear to have many beings, many parts inside of us, and although there may appear to be many beings outside of us, we are one being, and this is the integration of that one being for all parts to be reassigned an effective role in the current moment. So Jonathan, Christopher, anyone watching, an invitation to take 5 intentionally deeper belly breaths. And as you take that deeper belly breath, really filling up the belly, the generative organs, and the root all the way down, and holding it for a moment and sucking in a little more. And then when you release, just relaxing. This is a pathway of protection into our heart's work ceremony, heart's informed work ceremony. And with each breath, again, attuning to that self energy, which is kind, caring, compassionate, curious. This is the place that we will be asking questions to our parts. And if you do not have enough of this self energy cultivated, if it is not clear to you, and if you cannot remain in that, an invitation to not proceed with this process and reach out to myself or Jonathan or somebody that you trust that is versed in parts work, informed parts work. And if you do feel that there's a sufficient level of self-energy inside you to continue the investigation, please feel free to continue. And again, if you don't, you can continue to listen but not participate at that experiential level, as there will be something to be learned. So now, inviting all parts to the table in this circular council, again from self-energy, making this invitation to any parts that have needs or wants. There's no need, no desire, too insignificant. The self sitting at the head of this table invites these parts. You might not even know what parts they are, and that's okay too. There could be a part that says, I don't even know what this is. What is all of this? What are we doing here? That could be a thinking part. And you may be familiar with parts, so there may be protectors, there may be guides, there may be exiles, there may be managers. Everyone is welcome in this space. And I will troubleshoot the self question to you, Jonathan, and then you will ask that question internally to the council, and then you will give whoever wants a space to speak that space, and then return back to self, and then report to me what the dialogue was like. And
okay.
If
I already got it.
Good, good.
I do this stuff all the time.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm laying more groundwork
okay.
for those watching.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
You should do that for them.
Yeah, yeah. And so, thank you. Yeah, if anyone speaks, what Jonathan will be doing. When I refer to Jonathan, I'm referring to self. So self and Jonathan are synonymous. Or when I refer to you, Jonathan, and self are all synonyms here. Jonathan will then give a space in a gestalt way for a part to say, I want to be heard, or I need this, or whatever the case may be. He will listen to them from his self and then return to self energy. And then I'm the spiritual surgeon on the outside, and he's the guy with the camera on the inside. And then he'll report to me. And then when he reports to me and I'm holding self energy, I will offer other suggestions of questions to ask. And you, Jonathan, the self, are in the driver's seat here. So if you request more space to be with the part, or you want to ask a different question, we are co-creating this together, and I'm in the passenger seat of self-energy with you. So all of that is welcome. Do you have any questions?
No, I mean, I'm ready to get started when you feel like you've set up the audience.
Let's go. Or do you have any questions that you think the audience might be wondering?
I'm going a strong yes for a little bit of a context.
Please.
I don't say this in a bragging way. This is a context for you. Like, I'm super nerdy with parts work. It's like my life's thing. So
it's not your first rodeo.
No, right. So it comes like really, really easy and really, really fast to me. And I'm also have a strong ability to be vulnerable. But I want to model it. I want to put the frequency out there about what it looks like. But if you're not getting it quite as clearly and as fast as I am, don't worry about it. You're developing a muscle that I've been working on for some cells like probably your whole life,
Yeah.
And so I just want to put that context out there. But yeah, with that, I'm getting there's 3 parts right now that are set on blending for myself, and so yeah.
One more piece of context that I'm grateful you just shared that, because it reminded me as well. One thing that will be the same in essence here for you, if you're doing this with yourself as I am guiding it here with Jonathan, is self-energy. Self-energy, kind, caring, compassionate, infinitely patient, curious. That is the quality of self-energy that is required for this work. And so that will be the same for you. Of course, in different for you, since you're not in my body or Jonathan's. But the parts that Jonathan just referenced, these 3 parts, those are going to be different for you. So I'm just presencing that you will be hearing Jonathan speak to his particular parts, and they're going to be different for you. They're not going to be the same. If they are the exact same as what Jonathan says, probably call Jonathan. But that's a joke. These are different based on his traumas, based on his past, and they show up in a way. So I just felt like it was important for you to know that that's going to be probably not the same for you.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Context set.
Context set. Yeah. And as somebody who's super nerded on it, there's a lot of parts, like really subtle parts, even beyond. Something said, this is Jonathan's opinion. There's something called internal family systems, which is an amazing artwork thing that I've received and read a couple books, but never formally trained. I think you have more training in it than I do. So I recognize the epicness, and something inside me says, like, that's just the beginning. There's these families go deeper. Like Richard Schwartz, probably he's even evolving his own theory, so I'm sure he would agree with me. And so with that, I'm getting I don't know. I'm getting a guy. He says, like, you think this guy's who you really are, and myself like, he's not, but he's like your best friend. He's like a super meta part. He's like addicted to like getting another higher, always like wants to get more altitude. Is like really into that.
And he's saying, if I can clarify, he's saying you think this guy is really you, and he's referring to the guy being the self, Jonathan.
Yeah. So the bigger self, the ultimate truth, is like a witness, and he's saying like exactly, and the witness creates all kinds of parts. And something is said to put a little context. The goal, at least from Jonathan's perspective, isn't necessarily to get rid of parts or even label them good or bad, right and wrong. It's more like to become aware of them, and then almost like a like when only when you need to maybe do some reorganization, like maybe some parts are a little too active, or they need to talk to another part, and maybe they need to create another role to man. Like there's like a lot of little my organizational development guy who like worked at org structures is kind of saying, yeah, it's kind of like that. You have like a network of parts that were created when you were first dropped into the womb or whenever, or even deeper, like as a soul or whatever. And then through time, they create different parts, and you discover them. So something is saying, is I want to talk about a part that's like I often
I Jonathan self wants to talk about the part, or is that a part speaking?
I'm getting to speak it in this way. Jonathan as the self, but and again, this is a more subtle nuance, but I'm getting to absolutely go there because the thing that we like say is like the self that's like, oh, and some people will deify it, like that's the ultimate truth. It's like nonsense. What's real is that's the self that you're accessing with certain lenses on top of it that's available right now. And that's what it is, in my opinion, humbly, Jonathan. Like and through time you get more space where you unblend it deeper and deeper layers. And I think that's helpful to do that because it helps the savior, the people who don't get that. I think there's some people who have this unblending and they suddenly get more energy, and they take it way too extreme. They're like, I'm the ultimate truth, everyone else is wrong, because that's how they interpret the energy differential and the new insights, realizing it's just a capacity that anyone can do. and people's interpretations will be different, but sometimes there's some universal truths within that. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. So I want to speak to it from that place. So let's assume the part that's making the choices is the deepest axis of self that I have right now. And it's saying like, just be aware. It's saying, this is what it's saying to me is I have a part who's addicted to climbing up and getting a more altitude on a perspective. And something said like, you might not have to do anything negative about that, but knowing you don't always have to be that guy might help you relax in situations. Maybe he's overactive. That's what I'm getting. And like so like I'm helping people see parts can do. This is like a relationship thing. So my higher self is saying is like, he's got a little bit too much energy and too much power and control, and you might actually at this stage of your development and what you want to do, like spread best practices, you might actually reassign him in a better way. So that's the first thing I'm getting. What does that do for you? Is that coherent?
It's coherent, and what I would love, and I feel would be most of highest service to the audience members as we dive deeper into these parts, is if when I ask the question from self and then you ask it internally, if you're okay with this, keeping it really dialed into what it says and then what self says, and then we continue along the pathway and process. And then after, we can unwrap like the meta narrative of what's going on or what went on with it, just to keep it more efficient for the listener. Does that make sense, what I'm inviting?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably good that we're talking to this part, because this is the guy who's gonna have the tendency to take both perspectives at once rather than one.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is why I'm
so it's contextually appropriate. So so what you're saying is, let's keep it to like the self and the part.
Yeah.
But is it okay if we end up having multiple parts?
We'll go part by part, and if they come up, we'll address that as needed. Sometimes
I'll do my best to entrain to your Q&A for this period of time.
Perfect. Okay. Wonderful. Makes sense as to why. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Totally, brother. So we have this first part, and we can open it up again at this council. There's Jonathan the self, and then this part that shared some, and then two other parts at least. And I'm going to make the assumption that that part that we've talked about so far, it has something that wants to be shared because it was the first one out of these three. And so the question that you can ask it, again, from that caring, kind, compassionate, curious, infinitely patient self energy, is what is your role in my life? And if that's already clear to the self, we can go to the next question.
I don't know. I'm getting the word saying these three phrases. I'm your lover. I'm your people pleaser. And I'm also your troublemaker. And you should be aware it's all coming from one source.
Lover, people pleaser, and what was the third one?
Troublemaker.
Troublemaker. So ask
not necessarily in a bad way, but causing chaos.
Yeah, for sure. So ask this next question to this part and say, okay, I hear that you're the troublemaker, the people pleaser, and the lover. Would it be accurate to that these functions are protective? Is some part of your role protective in my life?
He's getting yes and no. Okay. Something said he something said like I don't know, something said don't resist saying what you just thought, which is I don't know, he's something like the word attunement is coming in, like you have a part that immediately protects it from like one really intense thing because you feel really intensely, and immediately
you have a part. Is he saying you?
This part. No, this part.
Okay, so
this part. It immediately.
It's helpful for me if you speak in first person from that part for me to organize these different parts.
Okay. Well, why don't I just name the parts? That would be better. So we'll just call it meta part, and self, and then meta part has. So meta part says like I'm a protector, in that Jonathan is very sensitive, I mean, like a lot of people. But anyways, just speak to yourself, Don. Okay. That he takes things in really intensely, and he diffuses the intensity by immediately turning it into multiple perspectives at once, and that calms his nervous system. So it's a protective. It calms his nervous system, but it also helps him function in a very dynamic way because he's very used to it. But there's a lot of fusion to it, and something is the self now is saying like he's ready to fine tune this guy a little bit. That's just gonna make him be a little bit better in the roles he's moving towards and off some of the roles he doesn't need to emphasize as much.
I see. So this element that is protective, could you ask this part specifically with the protective part? Is there anything that you need from me, the self, in relationship to protection? See how you respond.
It makes sense to really marinate on that. I don't know. It's asking the question to the self, what do you want from me now?
So again, center in as self, really honor that he's asking as a response to the self saying, what do you really need from me in relationship to protection? And the self is honoring that he's responding. So reflecting, I hear that you're asking me what I want from you now. I fully hear that. And what I'm asking you is, what do you need from me?
The self says, I'm asking you to change your emphasis to way more on love and take 90% of that energy from the people pleaser. And
this is what the self is
saying. Yeah, the self is saying to the part, it's like, enough of the people pleasing.
But let's check in. It's okay that the self is sharing that with him, but this is a time for the self to show up and see what this part needs from.
No, that's what I'm answering. I don't feel like you're getting it.
Maybe I'm missing it. Yeah.
Yeah, the part I asked the self, the part asked to the self, what do you need from me? And it's saying, I need you to change your constitution.
Right back.
No, it's the meta part asks the self, okay, I understand that you created me, and I've been playing this function within Jonathan where I have this propensity to divide things into at least 3 things, and now you're separated from me, and I take that as I'm ready for an upgrade. And he's saying, like, what do you want next from John? How can I be more effective for Jonathan? Because I'm only here to help. And the self said, great, I want you to stop people pleasing so much, and I want you more love. And troublemaker is, stop calling it a troublemaker. You're just here to help people see new perspectives. That's to help people grow. This is so stop calling it trouble. So it's like the request from this part is to transfer energy, not 100%, not every people pleasing gesture is wrong, but too much from this guy. and he's saying, like, stop calling the other thing a troublemaking thing and just see it as part of what Jonathan's here to do, is to help people see things for a novel perspective. For those who are interested, if you don't care, don't tune into my channel. But that's what one of the things, and it says blend these two. Jonathan's good at helping people see things through the lens of love. It's one of his things. That's one purpose he does. And if this part does these dials, Jonathan will start to gravitate more into the role that is needed now.
Beautiful. Brother.
I might do it in a little bit more advanced way than other people do it. I don't know. So maybe.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I think I see where I maybe missed something, and I want to clarify with you, because my invitation from self energy is for your self energy to ask specifically the protective element of that part from self energy to ask. So it's like, if this part is mine and I'm sitting there with it, I say to it, what do you need from me, the self?
And well, it did that.
Well, I heard that it wasn't clear to me that you asked that from self, and the way I understood what happened is, or I'll just share how
I may have combined 2 stuff
really
quickly. That might be my fault. I'm sorry.
So, no, it's okay, but it's helpful to unpeel this and then go right back in there if possible, because I need to know what's the communication that's occurring. So it's first self energy, Jonathan asking, what do you need from me, the self? And then the protector, you get in the role of that part that is protective, and allow it space to respond to what it needs from the self. Because it might say, and all I heard was it saying, I'm here to serve you, what do you want? And I understood that as a response to that question from the self, but it wasn't clear to me that you asked that from the self. It sounded a lot like it was the self saying what it wanted from it, and this is the reverse of that.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Let's just go really slow. Which part you want the self to lead, right? That's what I heard.
So self,
and you want the self to ask this meta part, like, what is it that this part needs? And okay, let's do that. Let's address that part directly.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
And then give it a chance to speak.
Yeah. All right. So all right, Jonathan says to meta part, yeah, what do you need from me? And the meta part's kind of like, yeah, I feel like it's a very intuitive part, and it says like, I feel like you're talking to me for a reason, and I'm ready to hear what you have to say. It doesn't. It needs what it needs is to listen. It wants to listen. Okay. It was kind of on autopilot, and now it's kind of like it's meta aware. So it's like it's an unusual part. It has maybe different capacities that other parts have.
Is it sharing that it needs the self to listen, or is it sharing that its need is to listen to the self?
It asks the self, like, what I understand. It is my understanding. It goes, so this, I'll actually do the dialogue. So, hi, this is me and self. I met a part. I pulled you out. We were fused together, like really, like one. And there's like a little differentiation going on. And I'm shining the light on you, bro. Hi.
Protective meta part, right?
This is always the self. This is the meta part. Yeah.
But the meta part is because we're asking that question specifically, the part that's
the meta part is protective and not protective at the same time. It's also offensive. All protective parts have that dimension to it.
Right. And we isolated the part a little bit earlier that said it was protective from that part, if you remember, when we affirmed with it that it was protective.
Yeah. So the protective part's the part that immediately has a desire to hop things into multiple perspectives to avoid intensity.
And that's who this question is specifically for.
Okay, great. All right, thanks for clarifying that. That's good. It's worth going into. Okay, so let's rewind. All right. Something said anyways, just go right into it. Protective part. What do you need from me? Protective says, like, I'm really glad you asked this question. Thanks, Christopher, for dialing it in. I'm carrying a story that I break apart if Jonathan gets too much intensity. Is there something shamanic you can do right now that'll change that? It'll increase Jonathan's ability to be with intensity even more deeper than ever before? Oh yeah. And it comes up and it just gives him it's like, great job, I love you. And he's playing with as he's hugging him, he's turning the love dial up from a 7 to a 10, and the people pleaser guy is going from an 8 to a 4, and the troublemaker labels just just guy with a lot of perspectives, and he turned him up from a 6 to an 8, and then he says, he give him a kiss and a hug. I'm always here for you, brother. And then he backed off.
Paper speed. Now, if we can stay with the protective part, you can ask it, is there, first honor it and acknowledge it, thank it for sharing what it needs so generously with the self, like just reflecting to it all of that which just occurred at such a fast rate, like, whoa, honoring this part. Thank you. And then ask it, is there anything else? Is there anything that you want me to know? See if there's anything it wants you to know.
Yeah, so I think something like, can we bring in? We were talking earlier, there were going to be 3 parts. Can we bring in a second part?
So the protector has the desire for other parts to get included, is what I'm hearing.
They're both on the same page on this. Yeah.
Oop, sweet. Yeah, it sounds like another part wants to
Yeah,
speak.
this one's Jonathan is speak out loud what you just thought. Something said like, I'm gonna be really vulnerable if I share it, and something said, why is like, because that's like a core wound of like being really being seen as vulnerable. Because when I was in fifth grade, I was because I feel intensely. I cried easily. I emoted easily as a kid, and there was some crybaby teasing. And there was a moment in the fifth grade where it just got overwhelming, where I created a part who was like, "I'm not, Jonathan's not going to cry when other boys call him a crybaby anymore." Like that ended that day. But that was a protective part. Yeah. And so something said that part and the part that you're about to bring up are really connected.
I see.
So this other part is a part of me that I don't know. I think
Can you ask it from self energy? What is your role in my life?
Yeah. You want me to describe what it is?
No, just directly ask.
All right. What is your role in Jonathan's life? Yeah, to keep his energy high and keep him excited about life. And you have permission to share how you do it. And says like, I provide Jonathan with fantasies or visualizations, astral plane romances, because a strong part of him is here because he really likes love, particularly one-on-one deep love, and there's a hole in his heart, and
there's a hole in the part
in the in there's like a wound, an exile or whatever. There's a part that's not completely healed yet, that really is longing for love, and this other part balances it out until that healing has occurred, full healing, because he's been working on it for a while. So this part, yeah, I'm going to pause and let you ask questions.
Yeah, so it seems the role is clear. It seems it has some element of protection with what happened when you were younger that I heard. So this is valuable information to know where it is at in the constellation of manager, protector, exile, etc. And so the next question is the same first question we asked the other part, which is, what do you need from me, yourself?
Okay.
See how it applies to that question.
Oh, that's a really good question. The self said, stop. There's a third part that just came in. It didn't let me ask the real question. He was like afraid to be embarrassed and humiliated. So go back. So let's pretend that guy is like.
Well, let's address that.
All right.
As if there's another part that's like coming in. So what we want to do now is with that part. Okay. It's coming up for a reason, and we got to have all parts feel as safe as possible for this process. So that part that kind of just interjected or stepped in, you can ask it again from self energy, like really let it know I'm caring, I'm compassionate, I'm kind, I'm curious. We can get to you, we can be with you later, but at this moment, we would really love if you felt safe enough to like step out on the outside of the room. Maybe there's a window in the council room, and it's going to be self and the part that we're with. But ask it what amount of space it's comfortable with giving you, the self, to have this dialogue with this part, and see if a negotiation can be reached.
Wow.
I might say no.
I don't know. I just went really down the rabbit hole, and that's kind of lost the structure for me.
Sounds like it could be a distractor part coming on.
Is it a distractor part? No.
Okay.
I don't even know how to get into that without.
Well, you could just stick with the.
Well, I just feel like sometimes You know how like different parts you get into a war because one part's like, this is the truth, and another part of you is like, yeah, but that if you do that truth, it's not going to work in the culture. You know what I mean? Like,
Hearts are rising, yeah.
yeah, and so it's a safety thing, and it's also a mission thing.
It sounds like that part doesn't want to give permission for
No, that part is saying like sometimes the the protection is needed to stay on because it's not the right time for it to come off.
Is
Like
that what it's saying?
yeah, it's like saying like
So let's talk directly to him then
well,
right now.
you are. So
Okay.
there's he's saying like look, there's like you can get into this feeling game and you can realize the protective parts off, not always, but sometimes they're like that, they're demonized, they're the enemy, but like the deepest truth is all protected parts are perfect and they always come off exactly when they need to come off and not a moment before. And in their you're not their goal isn't to rip them all off all at once and claim victory, it's to enjoy the journey at all. It's all everything's there
This is
for a
what he's
purpose.
saying.
Uh, this is self.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, and this protective part is with him. They're in agreement on this because they had a little sidebar, and they're like, yeah, this isn't the time to resolve that part. But you can resolve another part. But I needed to be aware of what I was aware of. It's sometimes defensive parts play a role, and it's just not the right time. So I want people who are watching to be compassionate towards everything, all parts, because I do want to shine a light on how important it is, but I also don't want to make it a thing that people are chasing and they gotta have it. They're like get off that treadmill and just see the whole thing as a beautiful unfolding.
So if I can clarify, it seems to me like that part is expressing its need, that it's like, nope, this isn't happening here. This isn't the time and space for this.
Well, it did happen within me, but it's not the right time to resolve that one. But so there's another part that you can resolve. Because remember, there are three parts. So the third part just said, I already played my role. Now focus on the thing. So that part is the to talk about that. Let me just drop into it. Ended up being a complicated one. um, there.
It's like,
Yeah, I didn't know it was gonna get like this, but let's land the plane here and let me have this part. It said like, um, something just said like, what if you understood that the shamanic intervention that you just did with the other part is going to have an entire effect on your entire being, and that was the work, and that part needed to just the second part that said like, hey, you're Jonathan's desire to fall in love and protecting the wound. Well, now you just changed some dials and took off your people pleasing guy, and now you're gonna talk about your passions more, and something said the girl that loves Jonathan loves him because he's really owning his passion with her and in life. So they're non-duals. Like if I own how awesome it is to combine these spiritual powers and how fun life is, and just tell that story without, even though a lot of people are like telling me I'm too optimistic. Like a lot of people just like, hey dude, well, how can it's bullshit. You can't be that, happy or always look at the bright side. And I'm like, I don't know. When I look at the models of life, I think the people who are resourceful and make the most of every moment, make the most of life, is not only feels good in my heart, but actually makes sense logically. So I'm just pointing at something simple. And if it triggers you, something, so you got to just be okay. Stop people pleasing those people. Just like, hey, this is the truth as far as I can tell. Try it out for yourself or not, but this is what I'm doing in life, at least now. And so what you did was really powerful because you helped me really talk to these parts in a way that was productive and allowed them to reassign some of the energy like we were talking earlier. So I feel like maybe it did actually all come together. So go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just to close the space in a good way with these parts, an invitation for your eyelids to lower, or if you feel super connected to self, keep them wide open.
Yeah.
And really,
I'm actually more energized with my eyes open.
I love it. I love it. And so, yeah, just take a moment one by one to honor each part, all of these parts, like thank them really generously, let them know that this is not the last time that you will be back to visit with them, if that is indeed your truth. And as you take those 5 deeper breaths, saying goodbye, saying see you later to each one of these parts that were present, an invitation to, as you embrace them, as they embrace you, the self looks into their eyes, they look into the self's eyes, allow them to merge into Jonathan and allow Jonathan to merge into you. For the truth is, not only will you be back, but you carry these parts in your life in every moment. For you are not 7, you are not 2, you are 1 being. Our parts informed work miracle creation session is now officially closed. Ding!
Wow.
We have about 17 minutes till 11:11.
Okay, I just wanted to just
Thank
talk about I had like a shamanic experience. Like I'm feeling tinglings everywhere in my body, like those dials were turned and something said like, "Hey, we're just starting to turn them."
Things appear different after
Yeah,
self work.
yeah. Like this is real. Like I'm like I can feel my legs, like the intensity, some of the soreness. I got like a couple massages at Bliss Burn, and I'm feeling that right now. And I was like, before the energy was like really up here, like thinking how I'm gonna people please everybody. And now as something said like, I don't give a shit. I'm Jonathan. I decided the direction of my life, and you changed my life.
Amen.
Yeah. So this parts work is super powerful. And
We changed your life.
yeah, we changed. Yeah, and they participated too.
Totally.
Because I'm getting like, I think there is some understanding. Like I think the computer metaphor. We're in the Western society. We all use computers. If you know programming exactly, that you just the parts work are just like some programs that you created early in life, and all we're doing is going, let's look at the code, huh? We can redefine those codes. So yeah, and if you really like computers, then it's a great analogy. If you got an allergy to computers, it's just
and God
like,
bless you.
yeah, then yeah, I mean, um, but I want to finish my compassion notion. It's also like for those people who like, how like there's some new age folks, maybe they don't like computers, but like they got a whole team. That's all parts work is, in my opinion, is like your inner guidance team. Or you don't have to think about it that way, but I feel like it validates both worlds at the same time. And it's also psychology. This is how consciousness works. And so, there are deeper patterns that rule reality, in my opinion. And my goal is to expose people to the ones that I know about. I don't know all of them. I'm a super geek in the ones more in the energy, in the subtle energy, and the mind and metaphysics. That's how my character is designed. And I actually think there are secrets in the universe all over the place. And I just know if people do what I do, they're a better version of them. And if they have secrets to reveal, you'll be easier able to do that because I'll shift your parts energy. And then Christopher does the same kind of work, just like he just modeled from work where it's like no longer needed. And we'll just shift that energy to, the thing that you love, your passions. So yeah, what if that was a simple narrative that created heaven on earth?
That's what I mean. What if I like to say, what if is what is?
Yeah.
And to me, that is what is.
Yeah.
So if you're open to it, I would like to talk a little bit about how anyone here can do more of this with us. And then if you feel called to close us out with whatever it is.
Okay. Maybe in a future talk, I'll do a session with you, but I don't think we have enough time.
I don't think so. I was thinking just like a closing meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks for joining Jonathan Mozenter and I for our first edition of Spiritual Gangsters from the Future Healing Meeting. As far as I can see, mission has been accomplished, and as far as I can see, it's just going to continue to be accomplished. And the way that you can support Sir Jonathan and myself in doing that, we both work one-on-one, small groups, here in person, all over the world. Feel free to reach out to Jonathan on his website, which will be linked to this episode. And you can reach me at my WhatsApp. I'll also put my number here. I got emails, my podcast. There's a lot of ways to reach me. So
Yeah.
feel free to get in touch with us. This is all donation based. So if you feel called to contribute something, if you received something, to me, the number one thing you could do is share this with somebody that you feel that this would have an impact on. And as well, if you feel called to contribute, we can put the different ways that you can do that for both of us. That is, everything and anything is greatly appreciated and not at all expected. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah. Well, so I just want to talk about, I do one-on-one sessions, and I do retreats, and speaking and energizing events. But I really want to just spend 1 minute focusing on something it's a very unique offer that I'm never going to offer again, especially at these prices. So I have a year-long cohort. It's only for 33 souls who are magnetized to this, where I have my unique, way of, I'm going to show you how to find your defense patterns, identify them, and do two things with them. One, if you're going into it when you need to focus on something else, how to switch to your flow state like right away. Okay. Another thing I'm going to do is when you want to get to the root cause and feel some deeper stuff, I will show you how to use altered states intelligently. And this program includes 2 breathworks a month, plus one-on-one coaching, plus group integration. And there's going to be a webinar tomorrow. I'm going to do it 1 a week, but just tomorrow, I think it's 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We'll put the link below. Also, you can just email me, mozenter@protonmail.com to learn more about it. So you will also get ability to create new parts that move you towards your dreams, because you're going to have one-on-one sessions. And it's really dynamic. And there's an app that helps you with your integration assignments. And because this is the first time I ever offered it it includes a 3-month course that's already pre-programmed. Like it's got like 12 classes that are like 90 minutes, 2 hours. And there's going to be group chat. So anyways, come check it out. It starts on May 1st. It's going to be for a year, and I'm closing it off in 33. I think I've sold about 8 of them. So there's like 25 left. So they're going to go fast. I've been a lot of
Does
people
it
are
cut off tomorrow, or can you enroll? Can people enroll on a rolling basis?
No, it's I'm going to cut it off probably. We'll see if I'm hoping to sell out. But if it starts to get past like the first month, I'm going to stop, whoever it is by the end of May, you know what I mean? So it starts on May 1st. And if you join into May, then, you still get the previous, everything's recorded, but right. I'm not extending you a year from that point. So it's a May 1st to April 30. It's May 1st, 25 to April 30th, 26 is the program. So I've already done this class that's already been tested, and everybody loved it. And the main thing that they wanted more of was more time to practice it, because the class is really dense in a good way. It just has a lot of I've been studying transformation my entire life. In my mid-50s, and I pulled the best of the best stuff into a course. So it's really deep, and it's like it's got Vajrayana Buddhism in it. It's got epi-energetics in it. It's got a little integral theory. It's got how to master altered states. And the goal is to get you to better use your energy, to be in flow states more often. So yeah, contact me if you're interested, if you want to talk one-on-one or come to one of the webinars. I'm super excited to get this out to the world.
Can I be a special guest on one of them with you?
Sure.
Nice. Yeah. So I'll be there for one of these if you join that. I also have men's immersion coming up with Anchor, who actually just arrived at my house and got some behind the scene photos. So if you want to do some men's work, super heart opening, just being real, being ourselves, and really embracing the sacred masculine and reclaiming that in ourselves so we can show up as the men, as leaders in our lives, with our family, with our business, with our community, and create a more peaceful world that our hearts know is possible, in the words of Charles Eisenstein. And yeah, dude, oh my God. And then Zodka and I, we got the Bulgaria immersion pilgrimage coming up. And then I'm doing some one-on-one experiences, immersion. So Jonathan and I got you taken care of with whatever it is that you desire, and it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing your valuable time and energy. You could have been doing anything in the world, which for some reason you were chose to be here today with Jonathan and I am humbly grateful to you and to you, brother.
Cool. Can I do the closing ritual real fast?
Please, yeah.
Okay. I always like to give away, and so I'm gonna give two things for everybody here who wants to ground yourself. It's about number one. Then I want to reinforce the thing I said in the future. Anytime you just focused on you start noticing you're in worry, you're focused on the past. When we're using that as a reminder, make it your best friend instead of your enemy, something you complain about. Focus on the future where you all crushed it and relax into it. Okay. And so that's a big deal. It's not a one-time thing. You actually have to keep telling your mind, reminding it to focus on the future, and then eventually it'll anchor there and you won't have to do it anymore. But that's a process because our entire life, we've unconsciously designed it to go towards the past. And the second thing is something called a decree. I'm deeply studied in something called conscious language, and we manifest with our words. So I want to give you permission. I'm going to do it for myself right here. But I say it's my divine birthright as a soul to co-create and manifest not only my most epic life here on earth, but to co-create it with all these beautiful souls here, and they have the right to claim it for themselves. So claim that if you want. Claimed. And so it is. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for coming and joining us, and look forward to chatting with you on future sessions of Spiritual Gangsters from the Future. Can
you put your hand here, brother? Okay. Draw it back with the inner hand.
Okay.
Arrow from our heart to theirs. 3, 2, 1.
Whoa. I felt like a boomerang effect. I feel the love from our fans.